Hello, everyone, and welcome to the channel. My name is Ryan Abair, and this is where I share my insights. And today I'm talking about mental constipation, which is a funny way of describing the restriction of flow. And how we keep abundance out of our lives is merely just this mental phenomenon that doesn't do anything. Stick around, and I'll explain. I want you to imagine your mind as being a sphincter. The body has several sphincters: the throat, the lips, the butt. And it seems to restrict flow and create pain. When you've ever had an obstructed bowel or you're constipated, that hurts. So the psychological pain that we experience is the mind sort of cluttering itself up with all sorts of chatter, images of doom and gloom, overreactivity. It's like eating a bunch of cheese, which binds you. And a lot of this is exactly like the digestive system. Like, what are you consuming? Are you consuming a lot of fiber? Good, nutritious things? So if you're eating a junk food diet of fear, if you're just feeding your mind a bunch of fear, it's going to be constipated in much the same way as you feeding yourself a bunch of junk food. And you're just not going to have this sense of ease. So your mind is your path to freedom. It really is. Your creative mind is going to find a way out of every seeming obstruction if you keep the sphincter open. This is a terrible way to describe this, but this is just my way. So just you might get something out of this. If somebody's ever snuck up on you and yelled, "Boo!" It's like a bomb that goes off in your mind. It's like a flash. And you're like, what? What? And it takes a while to come down off that high. I mean, you're scared for like a while. Or if a firecracker goes off behind you, that ring in your ear sticks around. So that's what happens with people who are in perpetual, a heightened state like that. I used to be that way. That's why I know the feeling, because your mind is like, oh, right? You don't want anybody to come up behind you and pinch you or say, boo, because then you're like, oh, no, what else could go wrong? It's this feeling of, And that feeling of running out of money, running out of time, losing what you have, whatever the case may be, is a constriction of flow in the mind. And it really does keep you away from your highest sense of intelligence. I know when I'm in that heightened sense of overreactivity or like, what the hell? That kind of feeling. I can't think creatively. I can't come up with good ideas. I turn into a babbling idiot. And so a lot of people live that way. They live with a cluttered mind filled with explosive reactivity. It's this constant, like, what's next? So it's paranoia. And this is why the practice of meditation is so very important, because it helps you come down off of that overreactive state. That doesn't mean that people who have this sense of calm and spaciousness don't occasionally get a little prod, like those cat videos where you put a cucumber behind a cat. They freak out. You just don't freak out. You kind of learn that. You learn to catch yourself from getting in the freak out mode. I lived in the freak out mode probably for 40 years, maybe longer. Not really practicing relaxation when things were relatively calm. And that's why I encourage you to, if your life is relatively calm, to work on sitting in the calm, in the silence, so that you can feel the sphincter of the mind start to relax. Now, at first, when you meditate, you're going to get a lot of, oh my God, I don't have time to do this. Lack. I don't know. Lack, because the mind is all about lack. I don't have time. What is this doing? My mind will never settle down. It's just constant. And so you just practice for a minute and see if you can get a little suppleness in the mind. And therein lies a very interesting clue. Suppleness is related to supply. Elasticity is related to abundance. Spaciousness is related to freedom. So all of these images help you realize that the mind is like constricted and it's got to release into the body and into the world. That it's about expansion. The world is not constricting. The mind thinks it is. The mind thinks it's constricting and it's holding and grabbing. But it's a mental image of constipation. The universe is getting to where it wants to go. The story of the universe is unfolding. You can't restrict it. Mental suffering that we go through is an illusion. What am I going to do? It's living in freak-out mode. And so you wonder, how do people like David Blaine and Houdini get into these straitjackets and caskets and stuff and can, live with very little air or hold their breath for so long? It's because they've learned to train themselves not to panic. That's basically what spiritual revelation is that you can live in a non-panicked state. That's what trust is. It's catching yourself restricting the flow in this mental box that seems to have four sides. And it doesn't. So you have to find those moments where you're scared shitless and recognized that all of that flash and tension disconnects you from the source of creation, the imagination. Like, imagine if Johann Sebastian Bach was freaked out all the time, although we do have some letters that he wrote to the city council saying that he was in need of resources, but still, if he was in this freak-out mode all the time, how could he write such beautiful music? I don't know. I just know personally that I don't flow well with my writing and I don't flow well with my speaking if internally I'm a mess. If I'm just like, I cut myself off from the best that I can offer. So if you want to really get into what might be holding you back or scaring you, It is a mental clog that doesn't really clog the universe. The universe is just flowing. Abundance is flowing. You ain't stopping it. This mental constipation will loosen up in you on its own, but you can get into it. You can sit in the silence, listen to the birds, 1 minute at a time, and you must work through the mind saying, I can't, you don't have time, this is a waste of time, what are you doing? We got to solve our problems. We have to feed ourselves, we have to take care of ourselves, what are you doing? Don't sit here in the silence, that's for vacation. Well, it's interesting, I heard somebody on a TED Talk say that rich people spend more money getting away to quiet places than any other person. I think that's interesting. That's a telltale sign right there that they are mentally constipated and have gobs of money. So poverty is mental constipation. Lack is mental constipation. It's nothing. You have to learn how to breathe. Learn that in a confined space you can breathe. You can breathe. Okay, great. I can breathe. All I need is just a second. All I need is just a moment. And sometimes the universe comes up to itself and goes, boo! And this freak out that you have is an illusion of stoppage. And it's not. That's not to say that a spiritually enlightened person never doesn't get surprised. You do get surprised, but you don't freak out. You don't freak out with every single obstacle, every single confinement, every single judgment or criticism. There's a space to sort of recognize, am I about to get stung here by myself? Is my mind cluttered? Am I disconnected from my flow of creativity? And then it gets flowing again. Ideas come. Desires come. Writing, painting, movement. Mental constipation is at the heart of lack. It's living in freak-out mode. Choking off good ideas. Peace and equanimity, which is just flowing. Always. Be careful what you eat. What you consume. You're consuming a lot of garbage that could be restricting the flow. Are you consuming a lot of noise that can be restricting the flow, not sitting in the silence, not letting it dissolve? Are you living in freak-out mode where you're constipated all the time? You're going to be in pain. You must realize that there is breathing room. You have to train yourself. Freak-out mode cuts you off from realizing the abundant supply, the abundant suppleness, elasticity, and openness. Okay, friends, my name is Ryan Aber. I hope you enjoyed these insights. Please check out my blog. It's called mymorningmotivator.com, and we'll see you next time.